Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. This is the Canadian Bowler Show. Daryl's having a conniption over here.
All I could see was Luke spinning in his chair. So,
as you can tell, there's three of us.
I have a dog aggressively barking at me, so I'm trying to make it stop.
Well, as you can tell, there's three of us here today. So we got Daryl Fitzgerald, Mike Patulli, and welcome back, Luke Caldwell. How you guys doing?
Not too bad. Mikey, how are you?
Oh, I'm not too bad. It was, National Bowls Day in Canada here yesterday, and typical Saskatchewan weather rolled through on Thursday, Friday, and flooded our greens in Regina. So didn't really have the ability to really do much for it, but our greens were flooded, and I had a friend I'd arranged to come give the game a try, but obviously didn't work out. So we're gonna have to do that a different day. Did you guys get up to anything yesterday?
me, not much. Yard work, some stuff around the house. Nothing too exciting.
I went and golfed. Only threw one golf club, so wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it's a success. Yeah.
It sounds like your bowls game, except you throw your bowl instead of the golf club. So we're moving up in the world.
A little bit.
Well, if you are here today, please do hit the like, comment, subscribe buttons. We do appreciate any sort of interaction we can get from you guys. Trying to slowly push towards our goals in the future, so any sort of interaction does help us. If you aren't here live, the show is on YouTube within the day, so you could check out the show after the fact on YouTube. We also are on every major podcasting platform within the week, so if you're a podcaster person, you can check out the show after the fact on those podcasting platforms. We do have a lot to cover today. Oddly enough, it's been a busy few weeks. We are at the beginning of the season here in Canada and sort of the end of the season down in the Southern Hemisphere. So there's lots of bowls and lots of results and I guess information about World Bowls to cover. So that's what we'll jump into first. So World Bowls teams, who are we leading with? I guess I'll let Daryl take this one. This looks like Team England's Para Bowls announcement. Is that correct?
Yeah. We covered Bowls England's main team the last show. So if you're wondering about that, go check that out. But they announced their para team. So for men's pairs in the para, we have Finn Kaiser and Jack Pullen. In the women's pairs, we have Jenny Sanford and Michelle White. And then the visually impaired mixed pairs, we have Stephen Hartley and Allison Yearling with their directors Jane Herbert and Isaac Shea. Hopefully I got that pronunciation right.
Awesome. And then here we have Hong Kong's team that they announced for World Bowls. I did do a little bit of matching to the names because the picture here didn't have the names. So
That's right.
Forgive me if I've mismatched the names here, but I'll start with the ladies there. So we got Phyllis Wong, Cheryl Chan, Gloria Ha, Angel So, and Helen Chung. And then for the men, we got Stephen Tsai, Eamon Tang, Tony Chung, Kaho Lee, and James Poe. So good to see those teams' announcements. I know Hong Kong's always, they've had actually pretty good last couple of years. So it'll be interesting to see how things go for them. The couple of good successes on the indoor. So I'm interested to see how they fare out in Australia there.
We can jump into a team that nobody knows about. Scotland's men's squad. We have, the typical Alex Marshall and Paul Foster MBE. The mainstays of the Scottish squad. We've got Ian McLean, Eric Oliver, and Jason Banks. Some of you may know Jason Banks from World Bowls Tour. He had a really good run the last event, which was great to see. So cool to see him making the team. On the women's side, we have Claire Anderson, Emma McIntyre, Stacey McDougall, Carla Banks, and Carolyn Brown. And on the para squad, we have for the VI mixed pairs, Robert Barr and Melanie Innes, with their directors Sarah Jane Ewing and George Miller. And then on the other para squad, we have Rosemary Lenton, Pauline Wilson, and then Gary Brown and Danny Porter. And we have Bull South Africa. Unfortunately, they didn't have a bunch of pictures to go with their announcement, but we have hopefully I don't butcher these pronouncements, but on the men's side we have Nixa Ben-Gurick, Jason Evans, Wayne Rittmuller, Bradley Robinson, and Victor Shipali, or Sipali, I should say. On the women's side, we have Bridget Kellitz, Esme Kruger, Sabelo Muvango, Colleen Piketh, and Anneke Snyman. And then on the Wales side, we did the men's side. They announced that earlier, and they just announced the ladies' side. So for Wales, we have Bethan Russ, Laura Daniels, Melanie Thomas, Sarah Nichols, and Issy White. And last but not least, we had the Team Canada announcement. So for those that didn't see it, for the men's singles, we have Ryan Bester for us. For men's pairs, we have Ryan Bester and John Bazier. For the men's triples, we have Cameron LaFrenz, Rob Law, and Owen Kirby. For the men's fours, we have Cameron LaFrenz, John Bazier, Rob Law, and Owen Kirby.
The Carbonata.
For women's singles, we have Kelly McCarahan. Women's pairs, Kelly McCarahan and Jordan Koss. Women's triples, Emma Boyd, Bailey Van Stein, Joanna Cooper. And on women's fours, it's Jordan Koss, Emma Boyd, Bailey Van Stein, and Joanna Cooper.
Is that the youngest Canadian team that's ever been picked?
Say for the ladies, it's probably got to be. That's a lot of youth, injected onto that squad.
Yeah, not a bad thing, I guess.
So I guess for any of the teams, including the Canadian team, other than obviously the youth element on the Canadian side, what do you guys think? Any thoughts on any of the teams, players?
Scotland, it was interesting to see the inclusion of. Sorry, I'm just gonna go with the last name, Banks, over onto that. Yeah, Jason Banks. Sorry, onto their side because they did pretty well at the Commonwealth Games down when it was in Australia, however many years ago that was now, and it was 3 of that 5 team was essentially there. So including him, someone who's done well on an indoor surface. I'm assuming he's probably going to be able to translate pretty good onto Australian greens as well. So that was kind of it's always interesting because Scotland's got such a deep pool of people just to see who that person or those couple guys they sub in as. So I was interested by that one. And then I was happy to see the Canadian team sort of go in a different direction, specifically the ladies, as we were saying, the injection of the youth was really good. A lot of those ladies have been very consistent and playing well over the last few years. So it was good to see them get their first chance there at World Bowls.
I think for a lot of these teams, turnover is inevitable. Eventually, some players are gonna drop off the team. Even some mainstays. I mean, on the Scottish side, the absence of Darren Burnett, who has been on there consistently for the last while, is something as well. On the Canadian team, you do see that turnover, and a lot of new people on the ladies' side with Emma and Bailey getting their first shots, and then on the men's side, you've got Owen Kirby getting his first shot at an international event. So there'll be a bunch of firsts down at World Bowls in Australia. So really cool to see, and I'm super jealous. I got to say that I'm just super jealous.
Terrell, you lied. It's Owen's 3rd international event
as part of the senior squad for Team Canada. Sorry.
Okay. His first World Bowls appearance.
yeah, he only made the senior squad recently, and he's on Team Canada squad. So he has played in World Youth, and I know he was part of the development squad that went over to Wales. But as far as being the senior squad showing, this will be a big one.
Mhm.
Yeah, good luck to all those teams. We'll be very much interested in seeing the results, and we'll definitely be passing those along come near the end of the summer there, once they do get underway there in Australia.
Should be exciting. And like I said, I am super jealous. That area for bowls and for weather and just everything is so nice. So hopefully they really enjoy it. Not only the bowls, but just the area itself.
Just speaking on that, Daryl, on the Canadian national team, will this be the first World Bowls that you'll miss since you've stepped down, or the first major event?
Yep. This will be the first one. So they've got, I mean, they're in capable hands. Terry Scott and Derek Dillon are both experienced. They both, I mean, obviously Terry's the head coach, but Derek has been an assistant coach at a number of events, and he's done the World Youth as well. So he knows a lot of the young players very well. So I think the combo is really good down there, for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. So I guess we do have quite a bit more information to pass along. What do we want to jump into next there, Daryl?
Do you want to sneak in the World Bowls Premier League and have a quick chat about that?
Sure. Yeah, that was a new interesting announcement out of World Bowls. So just the other day, World Bowls came out with information that they're going to be bringing in a World Bowls Premier League. If you do want to read this release that Daryl's got screenshotted here, it is on the World Bowls website. So essentially, they're creating a Premier League, which is it's an application process that they're going through right now where you can apply to be one of the teams in this Premier League. One thing Daryl and I had a discussion about last night was the sizable amount of money that it costs to get yourself a team. Daryl, you might know off the top of your head, how much was it to potentially get a team in the Premier League?
So yeah, there's a bunch of qualification pieces for applying, which you can go and check that out. But the minimum entry, I think, is stated as 50,000, as high as 150,000 US. That is more than any budget I've ever seen for a bowls club in at least Canada. So it's interesting.
Do you know like where the variation in those two numbers comes from? Like, how does it go from 50 to 100? Is it based on like if they get no entries, it costs people more money, or how does that work? Or is it just they're throwing a ballpark out there and that's what it might cost?
When I read the release, it kind of seems like they're trying to look for like member nations first. So it looks like they're trying to get countries involved. So then obviously if they can't get, say, Scotland, England, Australia, all these different countries to put a team in, then it sounds like to me that they might open it up to, like, if they're hosting in Australia, states in Australia, or whatever it might be, where someone might be able to sort of field that money. And I think it's exactly what you're talking about, Luke, that ballpark number is probably going to get higher if you're a state that's being allowed to play in this event against all these world nations. That's just me speculating, but that's kind of what when I read the process that they put out there on the website, that's sort of what it's alluding to.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's a terrible idea. I know you guys, you did mention something about the format. It's a little odd, I think, right?
It's not so much odd. Like, I'll let Daryl maybe field this one. I don't think it's all that odd. It's just we're seeing some similarities between it and the very much less than optimally seen Canadian proposal that recently came out.
Yeah, they're styling it after the BPL. You know, quick, fast games. Right now, the format, as it states in the expression of interest, is it 2 5-end sets, and then one tiebreaker if the sets are tied. Which is eerily similar to the 2024 proposal for the Canadians. So, for those that may be thinking that the Canadian proposal came out of thin air, I mean, I think you can see that um, there is a push to move in that direction, especially at the international level. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong or here nor there, but it's an interesting point of discussion because World Bowls is putting this out as a major event, lots of money, lots of visibility. I'm sure they're going to be trying to get this streamed or on TV and marketed and all that kind of stuff, which is why it's so it's big money and get this rolling. But yeah, that's the format, and I'm sure a bunch of people are going to hate it. So,
Well, I personally am excited to see it happen because it's the one thing that there's a lacking of is major international events. So if it's something they can consistently run similar to the BPL, maybe once a year, twice a year, whatever it might be, if they can get those nations consistently involved, it's going to be a good outlet for a lot of teams to probably send and get people experience. So like example, our Canadian team we're talking about there, I think we have a couple people who've never played in Australia going to play at World Bowls. So that's obviously a huge step in your bowling career if you've never done it before. And so I think an event like this, if they had it once a year, every couple of years, and these athletes had the ability to potentially play in something like that, it would be a good outlet for them. So I'm excited to see that it's potentially going to be an option down the line. Budget wise, I think it might be a problem for Canada to get an entry in the event, but fingers crossed. Let's hope they win the lottery or something like that, and maybe it can work out.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about it before. I think it's a great idea, and I think the format's fine. I mean, really, they could kind of do whatever they want, and people are going to show up for stuff like that. I think the only way we're going to see countries especially from the northern hemisphere, kind of or North America, I guess, is if there's major sponsorship. But that'd be super, super tough. Like we were talking about it before. It's like, suppose if we wanted to put a team in, who do you even ask to sponsor you? Because if it's being played in New Zealand, correct?
I don't know if they've actually
I don't think
said
they've actually announced.
Okay. I was just gonna say, because then you basically need to find an international sponsor that is also in the place that is being played, or else what would the point be? So that's the tough part, because it's a lot of money.
Yeah, I think you're looking at global sponsors, right? So that's
exactly
tough.
Yeah. Cam LaFren's in this chat there, and he's saying the future is short games. People are stubborn to see it. This is how it's always been, is the worst saying in bowls. Cam's probably got to hook up with Tam Tams or Coca-Cola to maybe throw our way for the Canadian bowler team. So we'll see if we can make that work. But I agree with Cam. It's becoming more and more apparent that the short games are kind of the way forward. If you agree or disagree with the sets format, that's probably the main sticking point on a lot of people. I personally would be fine with shorter games, like a 12 end game, if it's a total point 12 end game, because then you're kind of eliminating some of that luck factor that sets brings in.
Yeah, the reset factor.
Yeah, because I really dislike that one where you could win your first set 10-0 and then lose the second set 5-4 and then lose that tiebreak end, and you effectively won the game 14-6, but you end up losing it overall, right? So I personally would like the shorter ends just to like get under those time formats, make it more TV friendly, everything like that. But I know the sets format a lot of people like, just because it's kind of makes it a little more viewer friendly, I guess, in the end, because again, it's got that reset factor where if your team you're cheering for loses that first set big, they can maybe come back.
Yeah, I think the new formats, like personally, I haven't spoken too much about it. I think the new formats are fine. I think they're okay. Obviously people aren't going to like it no matter what we switch it to, right? Like if we switch them to longer games, people were going to hate that too. If we left things the way they were, there's still going to be people that hate that. I think there's a time and a place for the longer games still, but I think in like for the national stuff and things that they want to have televised or streamed or even just have spectators, I think the short form game just makes more sense.
That's a good point. For me personally, I mean, I've said it multiple times on the stream and to people who have asked me questions. I mean, I love the longer game, but I see the benefit in the shorter game. And look, whatever happens in 2024, whatever it actually finally comes out to be, it's going to be a test. Like, no other nation's doing it. We're doing it for the first time. If it's sets, if it's short, if it's you add 2 ends to every set, whatever it is, I don't know what it's going to be, but the idea is over time it's going to change into something hopefully better. So first year it runs, is it good? Is it bad? Who knows?
Another thing that people forget too, like for example, if we want, like I know we always try to compare ourselves to other sports. Like for example, look at a major sport. So this year in baseball, Major League Baseball, they had some major rule changes that people thought were going to ruin the game, and 2 weeks later it was a normality and nobody cared anymore. Like it just takes people to get used to it, and then it's fine. So I think people just kind of need to like, I respect everybody's opinion, but I think everybody also just needs to kind of give it a chance.
Yep, no, that's a very good comparison, Luke. You're talking about a significant change with the pitch clock.
The pitch clock, yeah.
Everyone was very worked up and worried about how the pitch clock was, and there's still minor grumblings about it from specifically a lot of the pitchers don't enjoy it, but after they've gotten used to it, everyone's just commonplace. It's part of the game now, and once you give it a shot and you get used to it, it just becomes part of it. It's like, for me, I can even think of 10 years ago or whatever it was when they switched. If you could choose if you took the jack or if you gave it to them after you scored. Like when that changed, it was not as groundbreaking per se, but it was a fairly significant change. And I remember getting used to that, where it's like, oh, I don't get the hammer anymore. Like it's just the difference of.
It's just like the last big one was probably the dead end rule, right? Like the reset rule was a big one that people didn't like, and everybody like now it's more or less common practice.
That's why Luke's in the middle, because he's the voice of reason for everybody, right?
I just like to play devil's advocate, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know the way that I don't know how we planned it, but our shirts actually make a Canadian flag. We got 2 red shirts and a white shirt in the middle, so it kind of worked out perfect somehow today.
I actually just want to make a quick interjection. Speaking on shirts, if you look at Daryl's shirt, he's got a really nice design on. That's actually a Canadian Bowl original. Michael also has a mug. If you guys have any interest in any of our merchandise, there is a link down below. I don't know if there's any deals on right now. The odd time we have deals and specials, but everything that gets purchased off the store gets related strictly back to the podcast or anything Canadian Bowler related. So we appreciate that a lot.
Segue.
Other segue. So we're talking about this change in format, the short ends or short two sets, 5 end games. Part of that proposal that was made, the Canadian proposal, there was some fairly substantial news a couple weeks back. So it was Bulls BC ended up making a release and coming out saying that they reject the new format. There's also been rumblings from other provinces as well. So we've kind of covered it, but I thought we should at least talk about how there is probably some potential or some movement that I think could be coming in that format that was presented. So essentially the provinces are definitely coming out and stating they were opposed or would have liked to be consulted in some capacity about those changes. If you guys were to go in there and make your own perfect little tweaks to the format, what would you guys be sort of adjusting in there?
I'll let you lead on this one, Daryl.
Oh, I was hoping that you'd fire some shots out there. I mean, full disclosure for those that don't know, I was actually part of that committee that looked at the format and came out with those things. So, if you see me around Ontario, feel free to come and yell at me or throw stuff. I personally liked a little bit longer game, but I fully understood the shortness of it and needing to try something first and then figure out where it goes. But either longer sets or just make it a shorter game overall instead of like 18 ends, make it 14, 12 ends total. Something like that would be great. I like everything in one spot. I think it's unfortunate that stuff was cut out, but I think we need to shrink it down to a manageable event, series of events, and then build out from there again. I think dropping the indoor was unfortunate, and I know that was a huge issue for BC, obviously, because they have PIBC where the indoor is always held. So that's, I mean, they have other complaints, but that's one of them. Seniors gone was an issue. You know, youth being changed was an issue. I think I would rather see something new and different come out for the indoor and for mixed pairs and for seniors than the same old stuff that we've been doing. I think what we've been doing year after year is boring. I think it's been there, done that. I'd rather see something fresh and new and some new ideas come in to spice up the game and make it more interesting to people. You know, a new indoor thing. Expand PBA in the West. We'll talk about that a little later, but you know, find some new stuff. So for tweaks, slightly longer games, but I wouldn't change much else.
I'm honestly not necessarily against a lot of the format. Like I said, I like progression. I think anything's worth a shot. I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. I think that, like, I was reading Cameron's comment, and he says people are looking at like 7 ends with a 3 set or a 3 end tiebreak. Is the current new format, is it just a 1 end tiebreak?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, so I don't really love that. I like the idea of the 3 and the 1 like it used to be, like when we played youth, and it was the 7 ends, and then you had the 3 end and a single end tiebreak if it went that far. I think I like that idea, but at the same time, it doesn't really matter. I guess the only thing that I really don't like about it, like, I've talked about before, is just the age thing on the youth. I really don't like that. I think that's kind of detrimental more than it's actually progressive, because I don't know why we're turning people away. I don't understand why in a dying sport we're turning people away. So that part I struggle with a little bit. And then honestly, other than that, I don't really have too many like big complaints, I guess. I mean, again, it sucks that the mixed and the whatever is gone, but I mean, if the format works out, maybe there's a place where it can be an all-inclusive event, and then like if people want to play seniors, you play seniors, but you don't get to play on the other stuff or whatever. I don't know, but no, I honestly don't have much bad things to say about it. I just know people aren't going to like it no matter what you do.
Yeah, no, you're both making pretty good points there. I think Daryl sort of touched on it. I touched it on earlier, like exactly what Cam's saying there. The 7, 7, and 3, we're getting longer games. If that was the format they chose to switch it to now, that's going to be longer games than the current, I guess, previous format where you're only playing 14 end games. Yeah. So obviously then we're starting to get longer games, which is completely against what they're going for. I think what I've said, and I'd be a proponent of entertaining it, is a 12 end game. Like you're trimming 2 ends off of the 4s, 4 ends off of the pairs. That's going to be a significant amount of time that you're chopping off each game. And then really just make a focus sort of domestically about playing a little quicker. I think you're going to be able to keep within like TV formats or whatever they're after for that aspect. And I guess it's a little bit more of a middle ground for the people that are still wanting kind of longer games that still do have substance to them.
I actually think I agree with you, Mike. I think 12 ends is actually a pretty good solid number. Like, I don't know. I know you guys don't play a ton of tournaments, but most tournaments in Ontario are 3 12 end games, and 12 end games are usually plenty. Like, they're not super long, but they're long enough that you can have a competitive game. If you're out of the game, you can come back, but you're not out there for a week.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with Cam's point there. I mean, I think a few of us, including myself, made some arguments at the committee level about the 7 ends, and the point was made, it's like, yeah, well, if you have 7 and 7 and 3 and you're playing 4s, you know, you're looking at a longer game, right?
Yeah.
Which, yeah, it's kind of defeats the purpose of us trying to shorten it. So I mean, that's totally fair, and that's why I think a lot of us said, you know what, let's give the 5, 1 a try, and if things don't go the way we think, then you know, you make some tweaks from there. But you know, whatever comes out of it, I hope that it's going to help alleviate some of the issues that we do have. It's actually going to be fun and a really cool event. It's tough to see either some people or some provinces or organizations take some really hard stances and and in some cases attack some people, which was tough. Some really, really negative stuff, which I know for me, it deterred me from actually making comments, trying to either support or be a little bit more positive because I didn't want to get attacked myself.
Makes sense.
Social media sucks in that
It's rough
regard,
out
right?
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, my one last point I wanted to sort of touch on is, since I got my soapbox here, is the taking out of the seniors was the one thing that if I were making my perfect blend of things to bring back, I would bring back the seniors. Huge demographic of our sport, obviously. And as Daryl sort of touched on, I think there's opportunities to change up what the seniors is doing and make it more exciting or a little different to be more marketable going forward. The idea I think I would have had is essentially taking the seniors and the juniors and putting them together, hosting them at the same sort of club over a 5-day span. So cutting the nationals to 2. So we're going to have 2 separate nationals under what I would like to do, but that's taking it from 6 to 2, which was what they currently have. And then that combining of the juniors and the seniors, Daryl and I kind of talked about it. It'd be an interesting thing if they could figure it out, but sort of a Forster Langs where you mix the seniors and the juniors together.
That
and
actually be really cool, I think. I think that'd be really neat. Yeah.
Play some sort of like a triples, pairs, whatever it might be. I think that would be a cool idea to sort of bring those 2 events together, because you're getting kind of the 2 groups that I'd say are the most diverse groups that we got for bowlers, is sort of the youth and then the elderly population. So I think it'd be a cool event to run. I know when Henry originally came up with the idea for the Forster Langs, it was sort of inspired by that impromptu mixed pairs tournament that we always run after the juniors each year, where he got to play in it a couple times with some of the junior kids. So I don't know, it would be an injection of youth in that sort of aspect, and then allow them to play their own sort of separate games that they qualify provincially for. But I don't know, that's just me throwing spitballs against the walls sort of ideas I have, where I think that cutting it down to the 2 events still saves BCB a lot of money, and then you still sort of save the seniors and give a middle ground for a lot of the provinces that are pretty worked up about losing the seniors.
Mm-hmm.
I do hope at the end of the day that some provinces, groups, people actually take some initiative and say, like, hey, there's some opportunity out there now. Let's start expanding stuff, making new stuff, making something fun. Like, I get it. People like to go around the province and play, 3 games, 14 ends, same old stuff over and over again. But I think there's room for some really good innovation and fun stuff to come out of this. And hopefully people actually do that.
Yeah, exactly. I guess we could move on. We got some other stuff to cover, I guess, too, eh?
Just quickly, while we're on the topic of some stuff expanding, PBA Canada kind of made an announcement. I know one of the a member from my club that's moved out to Alberta is kind of taking the reins out there in Alberta. They're trying to bring PBA back, because it's really been just isolated in Ontario. So Josh Cameron out there in Alberta posted something. If you go check out, if you go check Facebook, you can find it. PBA Canada, they're running an event where you can qualify to come and play in Ontario for the final, to actually go over and play in some of the World Bowls events, or World Bowl Tour events, I should say, overseas. So I'm really excited to see it expand back out into the West. I would love to see BC take that on, considering they have the indoor, and make PBA a thing again, because I think they have a ton of talent that's just untapped because we have everything in Ontario. And I think it's another use for the indoor to do PBA stuff, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah, very interesting news. Like, I've been pretty competitive bowler for roughly 12 to 15 years at this point, and the PBA died out west essentially when I started to get competitive. So it's actually interesting that that's an outlet at this point. it went across my radar to maybe go to Calgary to play myself. However, I'm got a kid coming right around when those qualifiers would be, so that's probably not the best idea on my behalf. So maybe a next year type of thing, but I hope it does well, and that, as you're saying, it does expand and brings PBA sort of up, and obviously increases that prize pool across Canada and makes it a more prestigious event across the board.
What is the purpose of the qualifier? Is it strictly financial?
I mean, a big part of it is financial to help fund somebody.
Because PBA is still open, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I just wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if they were only willing to send one. I mean, obviously they're only willing to send however many people, but I was curious if there was a purpose of a play down other than for financial reasons.
Like my hot take on it is that you're essentially winning it in the West, and then you get a bye through, I think, one round in Ontario, which doesn't seem all that fair to the winner of the Western event. If they had to beat 12 other people and they're the winner, and then they're only getting a one round bye out East, kind of feels like they're getting a short end of a stick in a way. But that's sort of my hot take on the format I see. But in the end, it is, I think, a lot financial is what you're saying there, Luke, where
I say I'm surprised they're even getting a bye, to be completely honest. So, I mean,
I think
I understand the point you're making, but at the same time, like I'm saying, like it's like if it's not just a financial thing, then should there be qualifiers everywhere? Like, is basically what I'm saying.
I agree. I think the long and the short of it is, will it actually take off and be successful? Like, do they revamp everything that they have currently in hopes that Alberta will support it, or do they do this now and then if there is a good amount of support, then they can start changing things after, right? Is how far do you want to go? If they don't support it and you change everything, then that can make it really tough going forward too, right? So I just hope it's successful. I hope they expand it outside of Alberta into other provinces as well, get some support, and start growing it, because I think it's a missed opportunity for a lot of people, really.
Yeah, I agree.
World Indoor?
sure.
We didn't actually go over those results?
You can do World Indoor.
Cool. I have some pictures.
Yeah, I guess last show it was just the beginning of the World Indoors, so we sort of touched on that it was starting, and obviously it would have concluded. So I'll let Daryl take over the results if he's got the photos queued up here.
Yeah. So this picture, left to right, we have Stephanie and Forrest. We have Cottrell and Sheriff from Australia. Kind of in the middle there, we have Marion and Marion from Guernsey, and then Hambro and Puckett from England on the right there. So we have gold for Australia, Sheriff and Cottrell. Scotland took home the silver in the mixed with Forrest and Stephanie, and it was bronze for England and Guernsey. They just split that bronze as the third and fourth place kind of people. So really, really cool. It looked like Cottrell and Kelsey Cottrell and Aaron Sheriff just kind of ran away with it. They were unbelievable through that whole mixed pairs event. You can see them there with the gold with the new World Bowls. Big cheese.
Is there any question that he's not the current best player in the world anymore?
Well, I mean, we've got 3 people here, and 3 out of 3 probably think he's the best, so that's 100%, right? So
Yeah.
that's unanimous.
I don't even think it's close, to be honest, but not right now.
All right. Men's. So going from left to right, we have Andrew Kelly from New Zealand. We have Aaron Sheriff from Australia, Michael Stefty from Scotland, and Martin Puckett. Do I have it here? Aaron Sheriff, obviously, because we're talking about as being one of, if not the best bowler right now. 1 gold. You can see, I think, 2 of them on this shirt there right now. Then you have New Zealand, Kelly winning the silver, and the bronze went split between Puckett and Stephanie from England and Scotland, respectively. And then we have the ladies. In this picture, you have Malaysia on the left. Hopefully I get this right. Nurul Alyani Jamil. Then you have Amy Williams from Wales. Then you have Caitlin Inch from New Zealand. And then on the far right, you have Julie Forrest from Scotland. You have... Oops, I went the wrong way. Sorry, guys. You have Julie Forrest winning the gold. You can see her with the trophy right there. Caitlin Inch took home the silver. And then Malaysia and Wales split the bronze. And you can see the Caitlin and Julie Forrest there. Gold and silver. And the two singles winner, Aaron Sheriff and Julie Forrest. Julie Forrest has been having a great run on the indoor. I got to say that she's really put her stamp out there as one of the best indoor in the world, I think. That's that. Thoughts, gentlemen? Yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, obviously we touched on it. Aaron is a beast and apparently just can win on whatever surface he's put on. So I think I said this to Daryl when we were talking about the results right after they happened. I was like, if he does well at World Bulls coming up this summer, you almost have to start throwing his name out there as one of the GOATs, where he's put up just result after result after result. And sort of as Luke said, he's definitely the best or one of the best right now. So definitely one of the most terrific rollers. So great to see that. And then Julie Forrest there, WBT, she's been successful there in the past. And then to come here, I think it's one of the few people we've actually seen sort of the dual success across WBT and crossing over to the World Bulls platform. So it's great to see sort of a crossover result like that. Luke looked like he had something to say, so I think Daryl and I both went quiet there.
I got nothing.
Okay.
I'm chilling.
You got anything else to add, Daryl? We got a couple other things I think we wanted to touch on, but
World Bulls. I just wanted to say, just on the World Bulls side, some of the stuff that they're doing now, the changes that have come in, even like the World Indoor Championship has changed a little. Obviously, we don't have the World Cup, and it's not always in Warilla. We're kind of bouncing it back between the UK and Warilla, but those small changes, the changes to their website, they have a new website for those of you that want to go check it out. I'm really impressed with the updates that they made to their website. New logo, new branding, new people in place, everything. I mean, logo, whatever. But everything. I think whether you like it or not, it's moving in the right direction. And it's like everything else in the world. Like we're not going to like everything that World Bulls does, but I think they're all pushing in the right direction with this WBPL, and whatnot. So just wanted to give a shout out to World Bulls there and say kudos on what they've done so far. And I'm kind of excited to see what they do moving forward.
Talking about change, Daryl, I got a question for you guys. Talking about change, how do you guys feel about playing on a roof as opposed to the ground?
That'd be interesting.
Well, look at what was just announced there. So good, nice segue there, Luke. So news came out a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, that they're building a bowls club / pub in Nashville, Tennessee. So here's a picture from the front of the building there, and then the previous images were from the top. So essentially they're gonna have a bowls green on the roof. It's part of the pub. It's pretty similar to one that I think I covered it in a video we did last year, sort of talking about leagues and running leagues at your club to make a little extra money for your club. Brit's Pub in Minneapolis, pretty similar concept with we discussed it before the show, a rooftop-ish green. So very interesting to see that that's happening out in Nashville. I think it's a really good format for a club pub to run, because if you're very much there about the social aspect of the game and you don't care about necessarily the rules and sort of that the game's played 100% how our rule book would be telling you how to play it, it's a very popular game that people were willing to come out and try and play and then have some beers, have some food, whatever it is, because I see it every week with B Cubed in Regina here, where they sold out 190 something people this year to come out and play 3 greens. We have 3 greens in Regina full of people on Thursday nights. So it's an easy, not easy, but it's a way to make your club $20,000-$30,000 a year. If you have sort of that volunteer base, you have that framework in place to make some sales of food, make some sales of beer type of a thing. So it does pay off in the end. And I think it's honestly a good idea for whoever is taking that initiative in Nashville. It's probably going to be something I think would be fairly successful.
I've kind of always had this in my mind that, when we're talking about, building an indoor somewhere in Canada, another one, or new clubs, getting interest, I really feel that making it a destination is something that people want to go to, and not just for bowls. Like, go there for food, go there for drinks, go there for watching the game, or a big pay-per-view event or whatever it is. And bowls is there, but it doesn't have to be the main focus. Like, it's a bowls club, but it has a lot of other things that entice people. So make it someplace that people want to go, and then you introduce them to bowls, and a whole whack of them may become addicted to it and be the next world champion. Who knows? But I think it's a really cool idea.
It's sort of the same formula as like what you see. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but a lot of places around here, they just their pubs or bars or pool tables. They're just there. Like, you don't have to play them, but you're probably getting it because they're there. So it's like the same kind of idea. So you make a little extra money, people come play, have fun, something to do, because a lot of people are just always looking for something to do. So I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, like when I made my video about Brit's Pub, I think I'd read that they have a 10-year waiting list to get in that league that the leagues that they run. They run a league on 2 different nights, and there's something like 20 teams each night and a 10-year waiting list. Like, that just shows you that there's obviously an interest and that there's people that want to try it, want to play it. So it's, if you give them the opportunity to quote Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. That's essentially how it is if you put the framework in place, if you kind of are fine with it not following traditional rules, formats, people don't even need to know. Like, I read the rules for Brit's league, and you stay at the end that you throw your bowl. You don't go to the other end. You play in a forest team and you just throw from one end of the green. So you're only playing half of the ends, but people don't need to know that. They just enjoy standing there having their drinks or whatever when they're not playing their end. So you can really do whatever you want, make the format strange and outrageous even, and people will still try it and enjoy it.
I like it.
I do too. I hope they do well, and that it inspires maybe a few more to take that plunge and add bowls to their pubs. I mean, you can't. There's only a few things that you can add to a pub that make it more British, right? So,
I guess the problem with adding bowls to a pub is property, but yeah.
yeah. Rooftop is kind of interesting too. I would love to go and just check that out to see what it looks like when it does eventually get built.
Well, if anybody wants to sponsor the Canadian Bowler to fly down and do some video stuff, we're more than willing to do that for you guys. So
yeah, we'll vlog it for you. Yeah.
So Cam, if you really want to see what it's like, just send us over like 15K and we'll head down right when it's open.
Absolutely.
All right. Was that all we had on the docket to cover?
I think so.
As long as we've covered and more, I think we've got everything that we wrote in the title. So,
but that sort of allows me to at least ask. So this year we got a bowl season coming up in Canada. Obviously, I think provincials start in Saskatchewan next weekend. I think you're the same in Ontario. Is that correct, Daryl?
That's correct. Yeah.
So, what are your plans for the bowl season, Daryl?
I am finally going to compete. I've actually been rolling bowls, which is something new for me for the past 3 years. Played in a couple tournaments already, which is fun. I haven't done that early in the season for a while. So playing the fours, try to qualify for nationals, see how that goes, and then maybe the pairs. If that goes well, I'll be in the Canadians in BC. If not, I will be looking for other stuff to do, I guess. I can come on here and complain.
Sweet.
because Luke and I are the Canadians of the Canadian bowler, and Daryl is the bowler. Last year I was the bowler, and Daryl was the Canadian, and
That's right.
so good to see you're allowed to jump into it there. Obviously, stepping back from the national team, you get a little more time on your hands. So I'm happy to see that that's the case. And Luke and I will just stay in the background and
Talk shit.
talk shit about how bad Daryl is and how trash his team did at provincials. So no, I wish you guys all the best. I hope you do qualify. It'd be cool to see you
Appreciate
get
it.
to Juan de Fuca.
That would be cool.
I am excited because for me, I always like to pick up younger players. So I've got not a new guy to the youth or to bowls, but new guy to these kind of provincials. So I'm really excited to push that forward because bringing new people in, bringing some youth in, there's a lot of talent out there that never gets seen. So it'll be fun for me to play, and I've got a fun team. We all get along, so it's good.
I don't know the one name on your team, but everybody else I know, and they're all pretty rock solid, been around for a while. So I think you got a pretty good team and have a good shot. I mean, Daryl at the back end's a little underrated, so you never know. You never know. Sometimes he makes a shot, sometimes he doesn't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, some say overrated, some say underrated. So I mean, it's
fair
there
enough.
you go.
They call him Mr. Horseshoe for a reason.
True.
It falls out from time to time. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I've played some great games with Daryl, and he's made some incredible shots. Don't get me wrong; he's surprised me. And then there was one other time, honestly, one of the first times I ever seen Daryl bowl in a semi-competitive scene. We were in Australia, and Daryl threw a drive and took every single one of his own bowls out of the head and left all of the other teams and gave up a 6. So it was pretty impressive that way too. So I mean, good luck to you guys, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, that was fun. I do remember that. I mean, we were just horsing around, but yeah, that drive was epic. Just took every single one of our bulls off.
It was pretty epic.
Okay. Well, exciting year, exciting results we'll be able to pass along. We will sort of let you all know or remind you we're going to probably have infrequent shows coming forward just because of all the bowls and all the different stuff. It's going to be tough for us to coordinate our normal 2 weeks that we do a show. So you may not hear from us for a while, and we'll probably have lots of provincial results to pass your way, but just sort of a heads up that we're probably going to be all over the place just because of busy schedules this summer, and all Daryl's bowling, and we're all kind of doing different parts. I'm not bowling, but I'm getting certified as a coach, certified as an umpire. So sort of pivoting and being more of a off the greens person myself. So we all got stuff going on. And then Luke's a busy guy who works a lot in the summer. So
I'm just a part-time podcast host who hasn't rolled a bowl in like a decade, it feels like. Not that long, but yeah, a couple years.
We'll get you back into it.
Yeah, one day.
all right. Well, that's all we wanted to cover. Just another reminder to like, comment, subscribe if you are here. Again, we do appreciate any support that we can get. So please do hit those buttons. It helps us out immensely. And if that's all we got, may all your bulls be touchers.
Peace out.